right, folks, welcome back to the Black Market Liberty Show, the fastest hour and a half on Fridays of radio on the internet. I'm your host, Max Casey, coming into our second segment here with a fun little informational segment on the first side of our show. Coming up, we got Derrick Broze, activist, personality. Coming up, a quick interview here with him in just a minute. Let's go ahead, though, since we got him on the line. I believe this would be Derrick. Derrick, is this you?
Yeah, what's up, man? How you doing?
Hey, man, how's it going, dude?
Doing pretty good. Thanks for having me on the show.
Well, thanks for calling in, man. I've been watching some of the things you're out and about doing, and spending some time with Adam Kokesh and stuff like that, and a lot of interesting things. So I wanted to have you call in and light you up on live here, and ask you a few questions and have you tell us about what's going on. If you got any inside iggies on anything, but I wanted to pick your brain for a little while because I'm always seeing you. I think one of the first times I noticed you were you got up in Breitbart's face over at I believe it was Minute Maid Park, and I remember sending that video over to Chuck. I was like, hey, check this out. This guy's asking Breitbart some tough ass questions. And I was like, that's pretty damn cool. And but and then you've kept doing it. I've seen you get in the face of the mayor, not really disrespectfully. I mean, you're always respectful, but you seem to have a knack for getting out there and getting in touch with these high-profile people, and I'm interested in how you, I guess I don't want to say how you do it, but I mean, you got your finger on the pulse of what's going on, and I respect that. And so I wanted just tell us what you do and how you do it, man.
Yeah, man, I appreciate the opportunity to speak about that. Those, the two videos you mentioned, the mayor and Breitbart, those were fun experiences, and really I just started as an activist in early 2010, just kind of started researching and woke up, all that good stuff, and started the Houston Freethinkers, and I didn't even really know what I was doing. It was just sort of a reaction of survival and of fear, like, oh, I gotta meet other people, I need to do something, so I started just going outside the Federal Reserve and taking pictures and doing that. And then, the more I did research and started to see other people do confrontation videos, just tried to pay attention to what's going on locally and find events to go to. And once I started working with Freedomizer, actually right before the 10th anniversary of 9/11, actually when I went out to New York for that, I started doing a show with Freedomizer. And pretty much that experience just solidified for me after going there, and within one night was able to interview like Richard Gage and Adam Kokesh and all these great people and just have some awesome discussions and interviews. When I came home, I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do. I want to keep asking people real questions and talking to them, and so immediately just jumped into that and like looking for any type of liberty events or just local events where politicians and people are going to be, and some of those included going into territory where we're not always welcome, like for the straw poll where Andrew Breitbart was, and trying to just ask real questions. And when I didn't really even know who Andrew Breitbart was before that experience, I actually heard him speak there, and just the reason I wanted to interview him is because he was so divisive with what he said that I just thought it should be addressed in some way and
right on.
Try to, so that's just kind of how it started. And yeah, really other than that, I spend about eight hours a day just reading news feeds and trying to research and keep up on that and keep up with what's going on locally. And I just stay on it as much as I can. It's kind of become an addiction, as I'm sure a lot of your listeners know the feeling.
Yeah, I mean, I watched some of the videos that you've done, and didn't you go to the Republican National Convention? Yeah, we did. Yeah, and
we're actually working on a documentary about that.
Didn't you? And you guys got harassed a little bit, didn't you? Just for basically walking around with a camera.
Yeah, we were temporarily detained by the Department of Homeland Security. So we went out there. What was awesome is we were funded by people who support us from Houston, who helped us get out there. They, funded for our trip to go there, and we went to go specifically cover the protests and to also cover what was going on in the convention, because we had friends who were delegates who were reporting, and also to cover Paul Fest. So just in general, we were going out there more as media, not to protest. And in the midst of us walking around and just documenting how much of a police state had been built up, we saw the TSA at a bus stop. We started filming that, and then we noticed DHS starting to take pictures of us, and that led to them surrounding us with their guns out and all this good stuff and harassing us and Man,
because after
pretty
all,
much papers, please.
A government by and for and of the people wouldn't actually arrest the people, would they?
Yeah.
Right?
Hey, I'll get back to Tampa in a second, but since you brought it up, the TSA, one of the coolest things that I know about that you did, it might not be the coolest thing you did, but one that I just love and I thought was awesome, because the TSA, I got a special place in my rectum for those guys. When you flat busted the Sheila Jackson Lee TSA Metro frisk and bag search program.
Oh yeah,
that was. I feel like that Chris Farley character on Saturday Night Live. Remember when you busted the? That was awesome.
That was a fun experience, man. And definitely, that's one of our proudest achievements, I would say, because
that was awesome.
It was just a matter of us using the network that we have between our group. A member of the group happened to be getting off of the rail downtown here in Houston, and was getting out of school, and he saw the whole press conference and took pictures and then sent them over to us. Like, guys, look, this is going on. There was this huge press conference, and then we started looking into what happened, and immediately we're like, no, this is not going to happen, and sort of organized between the Freethinkers Network and also working with the Harris County Criminal Lawyers Association, organized mass community calling into Metro and emailing them, and we went to the next Metro board meeting and pretty much took over the board meeting and got local media coverage and forced them to set up a second meeting, which was focused specifically on the TSA. And so they tossed the blame around for an hour or so, but eventually in the second meeting they basically said that the TSA, they would not continue the program Bus Safe, which it was a national pilot program, and Houston was one of the first cities that they were using for it, and they said that they wouldn't bring the TSA back on Metro unless of a nationally significant event, and so far we haven't seen them come back.
Well, hopefully they're not coming back. Nationally significant event, that would be, let's just hope that never gets to the point where that there is one of those and stuff, but I had a complete and total brain fart.
It's amazing to me the lengths that this government is going to make sure that they can track all of us and what we're doing, how we're spending our money. I mean, they are just really turning into a fascist state.
Yeah. Hey, you mentioned the Harris County, was it the Harris County Criminal Defense Organization? Was that?
Criminal Lawyers Association.
Okay, let me ask you a question. What process did you go through to come up with that? I mean, how did that come about that you guys reached out to them, and did you just Google it, or because I know a lot of us sit out here. A lot of us sit out here and we see you guys doing these things, and we're like, shit, I never would have thought to talk to those dudes. So what do you guys? How do you guys? I guess what's the magic sauce? Is it just real simple or what?
Just get up and start doing it, really. But we basically organized our own action from the beginning. We went to the first meeting completely unaware that there was any HCCLA involvement. We just went because we're like, okay, well, this seems like the easiest place to come, talk to the people who made this happen, so let's go to the board meeting. And then we had about 5 or 6 members from our group go up and speak one at a time in front of the board, and then there was, the lawyers were represented. There was probably at least 50 to 60 of them there representing, 1,000 strong lawyers, and they were there to tell the Metro board that if they continued their program, then they would be making those lawyers very rich because they were going to win lawsuits over it. And so together with that, after that event, they basically, some of the leadership from the HCCLA came over and spoke to myself and Micah Jackson, and basically said they were impressed with our work and what we did, and they wanted to work with us in the future. So we organized to come back again together and did that, and since then they've basically assured our group that anytime we face police violence or any kind of false arrest, that they will be there for us, because we've had that happen in the past where I was arrested just when a situation got really out of hand and didn't really know what to do, so I just, I took the charges so I could get out as soon as possible. But, any charge, whether big or small, is an opportunity to turn into a media circus, so to speak, and to make these people look like the fools that they are.
Fools. I like that, fools that they are. I got other choice words for them, but since we might have some PG-related listeners on right now, I'm not going to use those and stuff. But
fool starts with an F. We were going to use the F word, so fools works. Yeah,
fools, there you go. So you've taken it Yeah, the cops have stuck it to you a couple times, I take it, with respects to some of these. I mean, you got detained by DHS and it's a few other things. What's that like? I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I've been locked up for something stupid before, you know, and it sucked. It was 16 hours of my life. I wish I could get back. You know, I think a lot of people are really afraid of that happening. You know, how long have they detained you? I mean, what do they do? Do they question you? I mean, what happens when that happens?
Yeah, I've had one incident where the cop pulled a shotgun out on a group of us at an event we did, and I've been arrested also for blocking the Federal Reserve. And other than that, I've been detained several times at airports in D.C. and out here for doing action, stuff like that. And every time you're dealing with authorities, it's a difficult situation, because it can be. I mean, definitely, like if you saw the most recent video, which maybe some of your listeners have seen, with the airport video with Adam in D.C.
Yeah.
It was just us being harassed for 2 hours, while they followed us around trying to figure out how to do something, because they didn't even know their own law. And in those situations, it definitely gets moments that are tense. Probably the most scared. Anytime I can say that, I was really like, okay, I don't know what's going to happen here, because I've been to jail before as well, and I think it sucks no matter what amount of time you spend in it, if it's a year or a day or an hour or anything like that. It's no good place for anybody. So there's always that fear, but also when you're doing something that's right, that fear kind of dissipates. But when we were in Tampa and when the DHS basically said, show me some kind of identification or I'm going to take you away for 72 hours, that's a pretty scary thing. They basically said, we don't give a damn what you think. We're not the local cops. We're not the state cops. We're the federal government. We can, you're on federal property, and show me something, because I never carry ID on me, and I happen to have my birth certificate, and they basically forced that out of me under threat of taking me away for 3 days, and they wanted to push it further and start searching my bag, but I didn't let them do that. So in those moments, it's just like, I feel confident that with the network and the community that we built up, that if something like that was to happen, it would get mass coverage. And that's one thing I can't stress as far as solutions is, for me, is another reason that communities are important, because when you have that, not even just amongst the active community, but just reaching out to others, all wherever you live, and just trying to connect and find ways to get people to listen to the message of at least waking up to some issues that are going on in the world. They don't necessarily have to agree with you, but when you have that, and something happens to you, for example, when we got the shotgun pulled on us, we had all sorts of people come to our side and to our aid and to help us out, and while the cops told their story, and I think that's really important, because I hope that next time if I'm in that situation, I've already decided with myself that next time they won't get any papers, anything from me, because it's wrong and they don't deserve to have anything from me. And so if that means I get taken away by the DHS for 3 days, then I guess I'm going to find out where they take you. But I know that when that happened, we were live streaming on the internet, and so lots of people were watching it. We're getting the video out, and people have shared the video, and we were immediately, we were interviewed on Alex Jones' show, and by Amy Goodman of Democracy Now!, and by some people from Al Jazeera and the local indie media out there. So, we were able to get the story out. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what's most important is, when you're going to have moments where you're afraid, but we're reaching times where, we got to let go of that fear and just stand up for what we know is right.
Amen to that. Real quickly, just curious, what's Alex Jones like off air? Or have you met him off air? Or you've been up there, right? I met him when he came to Houston. He came to Houston Fed. I interviewed him briefly there, and I've been to the studio, but he was not there. I mean, I've been on the show a couple times, and the way I think about InfoWars and Alex Jones is that his audience, he reaches close to 500 million people every month, through his listenership. So if we have a chance to come on the show and spread a good positive message, then I'll definitely take the opportunity. As far as who he is, as a close person, I really couldn't say, but we definitely appreciate the opportunity just to get any message out to an audience like he has. You recently went and spent, as you mentioned a second ago about the airport video, spent some time with Adam Kokesh. How was that? Tell us about that. Yeah, it was great working with Adam. I really recommend anybody who's interested in not only activism, but whether you agree with Adam on his opinions or not, it's an opportunity for people who may have an interest in video editing, production on a show, things like that. Because it was a great situation. It was basically 6 people living in a 2-story, 6-bedroom house with a basement, with the studio and set built into the basement, and just working consecutively on different aspects of that show, making it run smoother, come up with ideas, and really being around some people who are as driven as I think I am, and focused on that. And so we're all working on
Adam show collectively, plus working on our own individual projects, and I was able to make use of the equipment. And Adam knows I do my own activism, so we had agreed that it was just going to be I would come out there for a month or so and work and learn what I could from him and from the show, and that we would do some action together, and then I would get back to what I'm doing here. And that's what I did, and I'm glad I went. It was a great experience, and definitely we got we did a cool Walmart video together on Black Friday that I think he got a good amount of hits on that. That was pretty good. And then the airport video, and plus just the experience of being there on the set and hanging out with a lot of good people who care about, activism and trying to get people going.
He's got a pretty big YouTube presence. You know who else has a pretty big YouTube presence that I think would be kick-ass to intern with?
Who's that?
Epic Mealtime. You familiar with those guys at all?
I do not think I am.
Okay, well, I'm a little fat. I'm a little bit on the heavy side, so they're like my speed. There's the guys that make like 70,000 calorie meals or whatever, and then sit down and chow on. Check it out, YouTube.
Oh no, I'll check it out for sure.
There's a little humor, a little levity there, and stuff like that. So we got a few callers on the line. I don't know if they're calling in to just talk in general or if they had specific questions for you. You want to take a call real quick before we go to break?
Yeah, I got time. I got a time for a call. I'm probably going to have to go when we go to break, but if somebody's got a question for me, I'm definitely down to hang out.
All right, 915, you're on the show live. You got a question for Derrick or just a comment?
With the goon squads and everything, now, man, don't you ever start sweating bullets when they start kind of putting their hands on their guns and looking at you like, we'd like to take you somewhere and beat the hell out of you?
Definitely. There's, when they, I've dealt with the cops with their big AR-15s in New York and in D.C., and then at the airport they usually like to pull out their tasers and, I guess, act as if they're going to do that. But for the most part, when I deal with cops and authorities like that, I do try to, and I hope it's clear to people who get a chance to check out the airport video. You can look it up. It's just Derrick Broze and Adam Kokesh opt out. I try to talk to the police and, speak to them. At one point, I think I even say, I'm trying to talk to you as a human being because, we are dealing with crazy situation with governments that, their force is escalating and they're focusing domestically. And if we want to have a better chance of survival, we need to do outreach towards the police and military like the Oath Keepers do. So I would try to keep some Oath Keepers cards on hand and also just generally remind them that we're on the same side and really try to ask them, because I don't enjoy sorry to cut you off, but I don't enjoy those videos, they get a lot of hits and they're tense, they're fun to watch to some degree, and when you get through it and you survive, everything's okay, it's definitely a rush. But I would much rather us be able to reach these police and advance the cause of liberty, and instead of having these situations keep happening where we're having to report, look, some more people got detained by DHS or by CSA or by whoever it is. So, I really try to focus on trying to reach them as much as possible.
I agree with
that. Sometimes I ask cops,
is
this really what you want your children to inherit? A police state?
Exactly.
Think about that, And then it's like, you're going to do what you're going to do, but, think about what you're doing for your kids.
Hey, Derrick, thanks for coming on the show, man. I really appreciate it. I know you got to get to getting and stuff like that. I'd love to have you back on some other time. Talk about your personal transformation that you've alluded to on your Facebook page and get into that a little bit and where you are and stuff and what your beliefs are on certain things. And if you wouldn't mind coming back sometime and sharing that with the listening audience, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'd love to come back, man. If anybody's interested in finding out more about what I do, you can check out theconsciousresistance.com or thehoustonfreethinkers.com. Thanks a lot, Mac.
Awesome. Thanks, Derrick Broze, everybody.